if you've got money in the market or you're thinking about getting some in there, you need to understand one thing. There are really only two ways your money can grow. You either get paid while you wait, or you bet that your money will be worth a lot more later. Those are dividend ETFs and growth ETFs. And here's what most people get wrong. They think you have to pick one. You don't. But you do need to know what you're actually choosing between. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how both work, what the data says about their long-term performance, and this is the part people mess up: how to match the right strategy to your actual goals. And here's the thing. The third piece of this puzzle is what changes everything. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's get into it. All right, let's start with dividend ETFs, because this is where most people feel safest. A dividend ETF owns a basket of stocks that pay out a portion of their profits to shareholders every quarter. Think of it like being a landlord, except instead of collecting rent, you're collecting checks from 100 different companies at once. The Vanguard High Dividend Yield ETF, ticker VYM, is one of the biggest names in this space. It tracks over 800 stocks. Its yield right now sits around 3.1%. That means if you put $100,000 in, you're looking at roughly $3,100 per year in passive income. Now here's where it gets interesting. That dividend income is only part of the picture. Going back to 1930, dividends have accounted for about 32% of the S&P 500's total return. Some years, it's more. Some years, less. But over long stretches of time, that income compounds. And compounding is where the magic happens. My friend Mike, he manages money for a living. He ran the numbers on VYM from 2006 to 2020. That's 14 years. Including dividends reinvested, the fund returned roughly 8.4% annually. His words were, "It won't make you rich fast, but it won't keep you up at night either." That trade-off, lower volatility, steady income, is exactly why dividend ETFs appeal to retirees and anyone who needs their money to produce cash. But wait, there's something most dividend ETFs have in common that matters a lot. They tend to load up on older, more established companies, utilities, banks, consumer staples. These are businesses that print money and send it out the door. They're not exciting. When the market pivots toward innovation and disruption, dividend stocks can lag, sometimes badly. So that's dividend ETFs. Now let me show you what growth ETFs look like in action. A growth ETF owns companies that are expected to grow their revenue and earnings faster than the market. These companies rarely pay dividends. They reinvest everything back into the business. Think Amazon in the early 2000s. Tesla before it turned profitable. Those profits weren't coming to you as a quarterly check. They were being plowed back into expansion. The Vanguard Growth ETF, ticker VUG, tracks the CRSP US Large Cap Growth Index. It holds about 220 stocks. And here's what sets it apart. 7 of its top 10 holdings are some form of tech: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Alphabet. These are the biggest companies on earth. And over the last decade, VUG has crushed it. From 2013 to 2023, VUG returned roughly 16.2% annually. Compare that to VYM's 8 point something. That's nearly double. But, and this is a big but, it's not a smooth ride. In 2022, growth stocks got absolutely hammered. The tech sector lost over 30% in a single year. VUG dropped 29.1%. If you had $100,000 in there, you watched it become $70,000 in 12 months. VYM, by contrast, dropped only about 6% that same year. That difference in volatility is the real cost of chasing those higher returns. And here's what a lot of people miss. When growth stocks fall, they fall fast. When they rise, they can rise even faster. The Invesco QQQ, which tracks the NASDAQ 100, returned over 31% in 2023 alone. That's after losing 33% the year before. If you can stomach those swings, the long-term numbers favor growth. If you can't, those big dips are where people panic sell and lock in permanent losses. If this is making sense so far, hit subscribe. I break down exactly how these fund structures work every week. Now, here's the part I've been building toward. Most people think this is a binary choice: dividend or growth, safe or risky, income or growth. But that's the wrong frame. The actual best strategy, the one used by most institutional investors, pension funds, and wealth managers, is something called a core satellite approach. You build a core position in one type, and you add satellites of the other. Here's how that looks in practice. Say you have $100,000 to invest. You put $60,000 into a dividend ETF like the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, ticker CHD. SCHD is interesting because it doesn't just screen for high yield. It screens for companies with strong dividend growth, healthy payout ratios, and solid balance sheets. Since its inception in 2011, CHD has returned about 11.8% annually. That includes the 2022 crash and the pandemic sell-off. It's not as flashy as Vogue, but it's remarkably consistent. Then you take the other 40,000 and you put it into a growth ETF, maybe a blend. We go for US exposure plus something like the Vanguard Information Technology ETF, ticker VGT, for concentrated tech exposure. Here's why this works. When the market is roaring, your growth holdings carry the portfolio. When the market gets rocky, your dividend holdings stabilize it. And here's the part nobody talks about enough. Dividend income from your core position can be used to buy more growth shares during downturns. That's called yield on cost. As those dividend companies grow their payouts year after year, your buying power increases. Let me make this concrete. If CHD yields 3% today and grows its dividend at 7% per year, that 3% becomes 6% in just over 10 years on the same original investment. That changes the entire math of your portfolio. The data backs this up. A 2023 Dalbar study found that investors who used a dividend reinvestment strategy over 20-year periods outperformed those who took income as cash by an average of 2.3% annually. 2.3% doesn't sound like much until you realize that's the difference between $1 million and 1.6 million. That one shift, reinvesting dividends into more growth, could be worth more than the first two methods combined. Once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. So there you have it. Dividend ETFs give you income, stability, and compound growth over time. Growth ETFs give you higher returns and bigger upside, with more turbulence along the way. And the strategy that actually wins long-term is rarely choosing one over the other. It's knowing how to combine them in a ratio that matches your timeline and your tolerance for volatility. If you're 10 years out from retirement, you can afford more growth exposure. If you're 3 years out, that dividend income becomes your safety net. The math isn't complicated. The discipline is the hard part. If you got something out of this, share it with someone who's been agonizing over this exact choice. And subscribe. Next week, I'm breaking down exactly how to pick your first ETF without making the 5 mistakes most beginners fall into. You'll want to see that one.